All right, everybody. Well, hello. Welcome in. I can see you starting to join. Feel free and let me know where you're from and what makes you interested in this workshop. And we'll wait for a few minutes for everyone to join in. I'm in a couple minutes early. So come on in and have some fun with us tonight. And welcome to those who are just joining in. I am glad to have you here. And again, for those of us just joining in, go ahead and tell me where you're from and what about this workshop is interesting to you. And we will get started shortly. We've got about 3 minutes, maybe 2 minutes before we get started. Hey, Lisa from Phoenix. Hello from Lisa from Scottsdale and Angie from Seattle. Hi, Lindy. Good to see you. I just saw you last week at Magic of Hummingbird. So good to see you here today. And Sue, welcome from Mesa. I am glad to have you here. And I think we've communicated before about your love for cowboys and all of that. So good to have you here. And bear with me just a second. I am going to um, just take care of one quick thing while you're chiming in here. All right. All righty, there we go. I needed to add Mason into the conversation today. Can't forget that. All right, so I see Nancy and Anita, and hey, Mason, I see you. And I see Carrie. Hello, you just contacted us about this workshop. I'm glad that you're here today. And Bob in Arizona, good to see you as well. Maureen, always good to see you. You're back for more, and I'd love to have you here for some Magic of Cowboys. Jean from Scottsdale. Ronaldo, welcome from Annapolis. That's awesome. Vancouver, British Columbia, right? Who doesn't love a cowboy? I agree with you, Joanne. Otto, welcome from Chicago. Debbie, Kim, Jan, Sylvia. We've got a lot of folks coming in today. I really appreciate. And yes, hi, Todd and Kathy. Met you in Madeira Canyon. Good to have you here. Welcome back. And I'm a little less sweaty than I was the day in Madeira Canyon. It was a little hot that day. Good to have you here, Angie. Welcome, everyone. And I've got Mason here, my better half and husband now. In case any of you didn't know, we got married last December. I think many of you know about that, but maybe not all. So Mason's with me today. And how are you, Mason?
I'm doing very well. Very excited.
I'm excited too. I like your hat, Magic of Cowboys hat.
That's right. I had to break it out just for this special event, and I don't know where the camera is, I guess.
Oh,
Oh, I
there you
don't know where it
go.
is on my head.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I know some of you are just getting logged in and jumping on, so I'm going to let that continue. A couple quick, rules, if you will. If you have questions for us, please type them in the Q&A box, not the chat window. Chat's for anything else conversational. But if you have questions for us or something that's really important for us to know or address, please put it in the Q&A. That way we don't lose them in the feed because that feed can scroll up pretty quickly and out of view. So the Q&A box will be what you want to do for the questions. And other than that, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we are going to get this party started. So hang in there 1 second. All right. So let me put this up here. There we go. All right. And Mason is going to address the comments and questions and things as they come in. I will answer them. I'll pause periodically. But again, if you're just logging in, type in those questions in the Q&A box. That will help us out a lot so we don't lose track of them. So first of all, this webinar is a pre-registration webinar for our Magic of Cowboys workshop in Gold Canyon, Arizona. So just to be clear, we have two Magic of Cowboys workshops. We have one in Gold Canyon, Arizona. We have another in Montana outside of Billings in Red Lodge. So this is the announcement and the information about the one in Arizona. So I just wanted to make that clear. Our one in Red Lodge, we're actually doing, oh gosh, we leave for that in less than a week. So that one's coming up quick. But this one is Thursday through Sunday, February 5th through 8th, 2026. All right. And so I'm going to go ahead and just tell you guys a little bit about what to expect. So if you've not been to this workshop before, and I know many of you come back again and again because we like to switch things up, we add new things, we try to make it magical each unique time without making it too redundant. So for those that are new to us, the Magic of Cowboys in Arizona is, of course, in Arizona. It's just outside of Phoenix, Arizona, in a town called Gold Canyon. So Gold Canyon is about a 40-minute drive from the Phoenix airport. Give yourself some time if you're renting a car to, of course, pick up that car. But once you're on the road, barring rush hour traffic or something, it's about a 40-minute drive. And you're just going to head due east of Phoenix, and it's in a small town called Gold Canyon. And then you'll go down a dirt road a couple of miles, and it's like you're transported to a completely different life and lifestyle. This ranch is out behind the Superstition Mountains, which are famous mountains just outside of Phoenix. Beautiful location. So once you arrive at the ranch, this is facing the back of the ranch, one of my favorite places to photograph. It is so beautiful back there, and you can get yours in the morning. This is a shot taken in the morning from the back of the ranch. This is Holy Hill, this foreground here. And then, of course, we've got all these wonderful, wonderful mountains and hillsides in the Superstition Wilderness. So that's where you're going to be for this ranch. No, you don't have to climb around back here. This is just the backdrop, one of the many of the ranch. Here's another view and a different view of the ranch facing east instead of north. But beautiful area, beautiful locations. You can come early. You'll be able to capture any of the landscapes and some of those things. If you want to come, I'll talk about arriving a little bit early and capturing some of that as well. And by the way, this is all being recorded. So if you can't stay for the whole time, or you know of somebody who wants to hear it but couldn't watch this live, we will be sending it out to you in roughly 24 hours with a link to the recording. And anybody who registered will receive that. So check your inbox, sometimes check your spam box, but it will be sent to anyone who registered. All right. So, why do we do this workshop? Well, this started as a curiosity for me. So I was I still am a wildlife photographer, but very long story short, I wanted to get to know portraiture better. And this is not a portraits only workshop, but I wanted to dabble in that world. But every time I tried, I felt like I was met with a lot of uncomfortable environments. I was met with instructors who maybe weren't very good at teaching portraiture. When I'd go into portrait sessions, I became a member of a studio co-op for a couple of years. And every time I'd go in, I felt like it was a very condescending environment. There were a lot of, 18-year-old scantily clad models that, middle-aged men were photographing. And I'm like, this is just not my vibe at all. I wasn't learning anything. I just felt awful every time I went to do it. And so I wanted to learn portraiture, and I wanted to do so in a way that was comfortable, in a way that was forgiving, and didn't make you feel, gosh, like you were so intimidated to do so. And so anyway, I had learned some things along the lines of portraiture. And I was asked by an arboretum, the Boyce Thompson Arboretum, which is about 20 minutes away from this ranch, to do a portrait event a long time ago. It's probably, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, to do a portrait event. And I agreed. And there were a couple other portrait photographers there who were going to help me lead it because I was by no means an expert in portraiture at the time. And anyway, long story short, this cowboy was at this restaurant that the guy who I was coordinating the event with from Boyce Thompson Arboretum had went for lunch. And he met this cowboy, and long story short, he's like, "Hey, You're interesting because he had his feet propped up on a table outside, like a patio table. He had all his cowboy gear on and he was working on his computer. And it was just an intriguing sight to see kind of the juxtaposition of those two worlds. So, anyway, long story short, he suggested that this cowboy get involved in some of the things that we were doing. And so he did. And we did our first portrait event at that bar in a mining town in a very small town east of Phoenix by about an hour. So we did the event, we kept in touch, and the guy that did it is this guy, Ben, right here. Well, I told Ben, I have a dream. I've always wanted to do a cowboy workshop. This was before the Yellowstone TV series and all that has made a lot of this much more popular. But I said, I really want to do something like this. It's out of the box for me. I'm a wildlife photographer. And here are my goals. First of all, let's capture some great action. But also, I would love to have other photographers who feel very intimidated and not at all interested in doing some portraiture to actually have fun doing portraiture. And so we incorporated those things. It started out as a 1 day event years ago just to get our feet wet with it. And it's grown into this magical event that we have now that feels like a very well-oiled machine, yet full of a lot of unique things that we do each year. We always keep it fresh. So, long story short, that's how I got started with this. And we have taken it and ran with it. And again, now we have one in Arizona and we have one in Montana that offers an entirely different feel from the one in Arizona. But we will be on a real working ranch. This is a small private ranch. They raise longhorn cattle, which is not very common these days because of all the challenges of transporting longhorns, of raising longhorns. They're wonderful cattle, but those longhorns make it difficult to do a whole lot as far as transportation. And so the cattle here are raised primarily for sometimes people just want a longhorn in their yard as kind of those decorative farm animals that some people keep. Some of these cattle are used in rodeos. They are not sold for meat at this particular location. But we're on a real working cattle ranch. And that means we're going to have the opportunity to have cowboys and cowgirls there who really work well to basically showcase the best of what they are able to do. We have some local people at this ranch that work at this ranch, and we also asked some other cowboys and cowgirls that we've gotten to know well to come on in. We switch that up a little bit every year to give you some fresh faces and give you a delightful experience. Um, so anyhow, and I'm just going to mention for those who are just jumping in, put any of your questions in the Q&A box and I will address those. Anything else can go in the chat window, and welcome to those who have just joined, but put your questions in the Q&A box and I'll stop shortly and we'll check on those. So this is just a cell phone shot, but it happened to be the camera I had with me at the moment when we were doing something at the ranch outside of workshop. But you can see these beautiful longhorns on this cattle. They're just amazing. So you get to photograph the ranch life and some of the things that they do, and of course the many horses that are at the ranch as well. The interesting thing about this ranch, it is run by Shelley Donnelly, and Shelley also has hired a ranch manager by the name of Jenna, and these two ladies run the ship. It's pretty amazing to watch a ranch being ran by women. Of course, there's male cowboys there as well, but it's a really neat and unique situation to have it run by women, and I love that personally. But that's Shelley, and this is Jenna, and you'll get to meet both of them in February. So, by the way, speaking of Jenna and speaking of photographs, a lot of the images that you're going to capture at this workshop have been submitted to competitions of all different shapes and sizes and have won or placed very high in these competitions. I know one woman who, I don't know if she's on the line tonight, Martha, but she had an entry into a competition that had over 300,000 entries. And I think she won or took like second place. It was a really high up achievement, pretty amazing. And I see these in competitions regularly. If you're a competition person, this is a good place to go because we deliver some really magical moments. And same with the Montana version as well. We just really try to cultivate great photographic moments so that you can capture them and, of course, place well if you do competition. If you don't, no problem at all. We're still going to have lots of fun images for you to capture and share with your friends or perhaps hang in your home. So In this workshop, one of the things that's very important to me is that we celebrate the culture and the history of women and male cowboys, of course, and cowgirls, but we really do integrate the real lifestyle, the real facts, the real things that they do on a day-to-day basis, and the history of the surrounding lands that we're on. The Superstition Mountains have a lot of legend, lore, and history in them. Many famous movies have been filmed there. John Wayne has filmed many movies there and others. It's a really special place to be. Wyatt Earp's wife is buried not far from where this ranch is located. There's just a lot of really interesting things in the area, and we'll weave that into our workshop as well. You're going to develop as a photographer a variety of different skills and hone the ones that you already have. So we integrate a lot of action. We still are going to integrate portraiture, both candids and posed portraits. We'll integrate a little bit of lighting, but don't worry, you don't have to bring flashes or anything like that. We provide all of that equipment for you, but you're going to get a variety of skills. These are just a few that we're going to cover today. So panning is one skill that we love to integrate. That's where you have the slow shutter drag shots where you get these soft, gentle blurs, the streaking, the blurred legs. These are very, very popular and desirable. They're more of an artistic feel. And we're going to be teaching you how to do that and giving you practice to master that. It's a tricky technique, and we really want to give you the time to do that, and we'll help you with that. Here's another example of panning, where the feet are blurry and the horses are running. And of course, there's all different variations. This is just one. We're going to also give you opportunities to capture silhouettes. And the silhouette opportunities that we have are fabulous. Right down at the end of this road, we've termed it Sunset Road because it's so perfect to capture these silhouettes in February. So we're going to be allowing you opportunities to capture silhouettes both in the morning and in the evening at different locations at the ranch. And silhouettes can be just fabulous for just giving you those wonderful outlines. And the contrast in a silhouette is what's so compelling for people. So capturing that contrast between the black subject and the beautiful skies and sunrises or sunsets, all of that is so pretty. And you can even get a little sunburst in there if you want to do so. We can tell you about that as well. So this workshop, sorry, I have the wrong date here, and I thought that was deleted. Let me see if I can get rid of that really quickly. There we go. And let me bring this back uh, onto the screen. There we go. I don't know how that happened, but somehow it did. But the silhouettes can be lovely. Now, this is up on a hill in the morning. You don't have to climb the hill, just the horses and riders do. But this is a beautiful shot in the morning and gives you an idea of what we can capture up there at the ranch. Here's another one in the evening. So just all kinds of fun things. We try to switch it up with what we offer every year to give you different looks. Because like I said, many people return. I think we have one person that has come 5 times to this workshop, and many have come at least 2 or 3 times. It's a very popular event. All right, this is one of my personal favorites that I captured. I loved how the swishing tail is just tying right into the sun. And there's a saying in the horse world that when a horse is trotting away and you just see its tail swishing gently back and forth, it means it's really happy. And so I love this because that tail was just swishing gently back and forth. And that tells me he's a happy horse and a happy rider. All right, so we're going to practice some posing as well. We'll give you some basic tips. And these are things, I love that we're doing this in a cowboy environment, but these are things that can help you even if you're shooting with your cell phone, you're capturing a family moment or a trip vacation, just some simple little things for posing somebody, which is always one of the most intimidating parts of portrait photography. We're going to wipe the intimidation away and give you some good, basic, simple tools to help you with that and give you some better shots. So we'll tell you about how to turn a head or where the light's going to be coming from or where to put the light. And we're going to help you with all of that. We can pose in all kinds of different ways. We don't have to be in a studio, all dressed up. We're going to just give you simple techniques about how to photograph, where to put faces, where to put arms and legs so that they make a beautiful shot and a flattering shot for men and women. And of course, as promised, we will do high key whenever the light and the weather cooperate. This is something that I specialize in with the high key shots. High key meaning very white backgrounds and very kind of softer contrasty pictures. And this is black and white, but of course we can do them in color. I love high key and we will teach it to the best of our abilities using the light that's available. And it does require a certain type of light. So we'll be watching for that the entire weekend. But high key can be lovely, and it doesn't have to be necessarily completely outside. This was shot under an overhang with a beautiful light background behind it. Background meaning outside, not a backdrop, but a simple, pretty picture that was made in a situation that was maybe not ideal for certain kinds of portraits. And here's another one here that I put in a vintage or sepia tone at the end, but it still qualifies as high key. And here's another one of Jenna. And I just love this simple photo of her. She was on her horse, and this was taken close to sunset. Here's another high key shot where we overexposed in a certain way. It requires certain kinds of lights and backgrounds, but very simple. And then I added a very vintage style to it. We're going to teach you low key too. One of my other favorites. I love the high and the low key. I think I like the ends of the keys better than the middle key, right? Low and high key. But this was done with a single light from behind. And I just love the simple line and shape that it paints. The contrast is beautiful. It's like a silhouette with rim light, but it's all done in a low key style. We will teach you how to do some of those things. Here's another low key portrait, but with completely different lighting. This is Rick, one of our favorite Cowboys. We invite him back year after year because he's amazing and we love Rick. And this is a low key style shot where the lighting is capturing some rim light here, some side light, a little bit of front light, but not much. It's all about controlling the light in different ways to get those high contrast light and shadows in just the right places. Here's a sepia one done of one of our Cowboys, Duncan. And yes, Duncan has an eye patch in real life. It's not just for show. And I just loved how the low key lighting played up the fur on his handmade, I think this was a beaver and buffalo coat, if I remember correctly. But it just plays up all that texture so well, the texture in his chaps, all of that. And by the way, Duncan makes his own clothing, his coats, his chaps, and so forth. Again, another low key with a cowboy lighting up a cigarette. And the girls wanted to participate in that too, so we captured that as well. So we will work on those things. And then here's one more high key for good measure, but we will be working in a variety of those scenarios. And then in addition, we will be doing some regular key where we will use some off-camera lighting, and we'll also use natural light to give you some of the best shots that we can. So here's an example of natural lighting and just, a cute couple here that actually got married not long after this shot was taken, but just fun, different, creative types of shots, including also portraits in environmental shots. So taking a portrait, but incorporating the entire environment in there to give you this big grand scheme. This is another view from the ranch looking kind of northwest. So lots of different views of this ranch. It's such a pretty area. We'll, of course, photograph horses and cowboys and all of that. We typically have some events where horses are going to be running. In this case, they were running in an arena. We also have them running outside of an arena, just capturing that beautiful desert environment, the dust and horses running. Here's another version of that shot, just really pretty backlighting. This is the hill in the morning where early morning we do the silhouettes, but then as that sun rises, it gives us great backlighting for these horses running or whatever we choose to have moving through the scene. Here's another one with the horses running. Of course, in this case, it's one horse and one cowboy, but really pretty lighting. You just get some really dramatic shots. And of course, we'll give you time to get detailed shots and get up close and personal with the horses and the riders and capture all of that lovely wet leather work. And, a shot like this is really fun to do. We'll give you that time to do that as well. And you'll also have the help of our instructional team, which I'll cover in a minute. But environmental portraiture can really be nice to capture. And then there's some fun, unexpected moments like this calf that was just a couple days old. And this happened to be the bull that fathered him. And it's just a neat little shot there. And of course, we have, roundup work, right? We have roping cattle, we have calves. There may be an opportunity to also photograph branding. That is something that we won't know until closer to the date. And I'll talk about that more, if you sign up as to when and where that might happen. But that's always something that can be on the list. You don't have to participate in photographing it if you don't want to, but that's something that is often requested and we arrange it if possible. Um, but these little calves makes for some great subjects. I love how this picture, the cowboy is throwing his rope to try to capture one of the calves. This was, I believe, during a weaning time. But just lots of fun, lots of ranch life that we're going to capture. Here's another one here. This is of Duncan trying to separate some cows and calves. And of course, we'll be able to do the portraiture in natural light as well. So this is Rick. We'll be talking about different lenses and how to use those to best capture your subjects. There's a lot of subtle learning that goes on when we teach portraiture. It's about the lens choice. It's about your depth of field. It's about including things in the background or eliminating things in the background, the posing, the lighting. We definitely will introduce you to those things in addition to all your favorite stuff with the action. I would say action incorporates probably 40 to 50% of what we do. And then the rest is portraiture, landscape, detail work, whatever it might be, cowboys, silhouettes, all that other stuff. We really pack in a lot into this workshop. I'm going to pause for just a moment. Mason, are there any questions that are coming through that I can address?
Well, so far the only question is about the itinerary, which I think you are going to get to as you move forward.
Yes, I will. All right. Holler if there's more questions. I'll be happy to stop.
I will.
All right. So, really, this workshop, and I'll get into the itinerary a little bit, but this is really all about you. And if you've never taken a workshop from me, you don't maybe know this, or maybe you've heard this, but we as a team, all of my instructors, Mason and I, really work to make sure you are in the right positions for the best shots. All my team and I will sometimes shoot. If everybody's doing well, we check on all of you and then we'll shoot for a few minutes, then we'll go back and check on you. But we never ever want to take a shot away from you by having us be in that spot instead. Everything is about you first. And that is something that is true for all of my workshops. It's not that we never take a picture, but we never try to do it at your expense. And we always stop and help you with questions or camera problems or ideas or any of that stuff. That's what our team is there for. And we have a team of about 8 to 10 photographers and assistants to get this workshop done the way we need to do it. It's a high touch experience with a lot of moving pieces and parts, and we want it to run really well for you. So we have a big team for this workshop. All right, so let's talk about a typical day and the agenda. Though I don't have the exact agenda here in this PowerPoint, I can give you an idea of what to expect in a typical day. So you'll expect and get a continental breakfast. Now, I think this is a little better than continental. We have a lot of different things that we provide at breakfast, but it is a breakfast that's not bacon and eggs. We just don't have the facilities to do that there, but you'll have plenty of other stuff. We'll have granola bars and yogurt and oatmeal and snacks and pastries and a whole bunch of stuff. Nuts and hard-boiled eggs if you're wanting more protein bars, all that kind of stuff that we provide in addition to hot cowboy coffee and tea, and then we have assorted other beverages. So you'll get a continental breakfast that definitely won't leave you hungry. And then we have snacks throughout the day. So you can go back to what we call our headquarters, which is a giant tent that we have that is full of other stuff to nibble on throughout the day, fruit and all that kind of stuff. We do a sunrise shoot, and what that looks like each day is a little bit different, but essentially you'll arrive at the ranch sometime approximately, I'm going to say 6 o'clock, and 6 o'clock a.m., and we will get into position and get all our gear out, and you can have time to grab a bite, and then we are going to start shooting our sunrise shoot, which could be silhouettes or morning, blue hour or golden hour types of things, depending on the day and what we're putting for that day. So then we'll move typically into some action. So we go from sunrise stuff to more action, which, any of the animals moving, cowboys, cattle, horses, any of that kind of stuff, we're going to do. And then in here somewhere is also a break for you to grab a drink, get refreshed, and so forth. We'll do roping, cattle roping. We also will do some single cattle as well as typically we have a herd of cattle that we're working with. And the specifics of that are a little bit different every year so that you get some different shots. We also include your lunch. So you'll have a bigger lunch. Lunch is definitely a time where you need to rest, relax, have a break. And we provide a catered lunch all of the days of the workshop. And on one of those days, and I'll talk about this more in a minute, it will be Barb, our chuck wagon chef, who's amazing. She is an award-winning chuck wagon chef, and she cooks on all the cast iron, the Dutch ovens over the hot coals, and what she can make with fire and a Dutch oven will blow your mind. My two favorite things are her brisket and her honey butter biscuits. She also, if anybody has been to Alaska with me, Barb also cooks at all. She doesn't do chuck wagon style, but she cooks at all of our Alaska workshops. So if you've been there and you haven't been to Cowboys yet, whether it's Montana or here in Arizona, she is our chef for that as well. And so you will definitely have wonderful food there. The cattle drive, we typically do a cattle drive as well. Where and when and what, I can't tell you that because we still have to finalize those things with the owner of the cattle and the lighting and so forth. But that is always woven into this somewhere. So in addition to that, we'll do the silhouettes like I mentioned. We will do portraits like I mentioned. We'll do sunsets like I mentioned, and it's really a full day. You will get some breaks, but it's not one of those workshops where we shoot for a couple hours in the morning and then go back to the hotel and then shoot for a couple hours in the evening. We really try to maximize what you can do with all the different lighting throughout the day and still give you some breaks to catch your breath, but you are shooting most of the day. I'd like to think of this workshop as being a normal workshop where you might get the shots in over 5 or 6 days at a typical workshop, what we pack into Thursday night through Sunday. And so this just gives you some idea of what we can do. And here's Barb, our chuck wagon chef, getting food ready. And she just does an amazing job. And you'll get to see how this was done over 100 years ago. All of her equipment is stuff, and the way she prepares things is how things would have been done over 100 years ago. This is a photo op in and of itself. Now, this particular shot was taken at night, but she'll be there during the day. But you should see her setup. It's amazing and just darling. So those can be photo ops as well. And then we have Duncan Vizane. So he's pretty new to the team. He came to our team earlier this year and he's coming back for more. Duncan is a stuntman and he trains horses for Hollywood. So he's been in a variety of different movies and he brings some unique things to this workshop. He's a full-time cowboy, has a ranch. This is the person who we're doing the ranch work on for our workshop in Montana. And he's agreed to come down to Arizona for us because he's just delightful. You're going to love him, and he will be there in addition to the other cowboys and cowgirls that we have. So that gives you a 50,000 foot level view of what the workshop will entail. Of course, there'll be a million shots in between. Bring plenty of memory cards and batteries and a backup camera if you have two that you can bring, because you are going to be put through your paces in a delightful way, and your camera is going to be happy and tired at the end of the workshop. But we have accommodations for you. So last year was our first year where we embedded accommodations into the workshop. Previous years, we stayed at the Best Western and I left it up to participants to make reservations if they wanted to. The unfortunate situation is that the Best Western, which is pretty close to the ranch, has gotten so expensive over the past couple of years that the rates are like over $300 a night. It's nuts. And so we've negotiated a rate with the Gold Canyon Golf Resort, which is about 15 minutes from the ranch. And you have nicer amenities, beautiful rooms, a much bigger resort that you can stay at and enjoy, and even add on to your stay if you wanted to stay a little longer. But you'll be able to stay there instead, and the price was less than at the Best Western. So win-win all the way around. And so your rooms will be these. I'm showing you here a two queen bed, but there are some queens and there are some kings. You'll be able to choose what you want when you make your reservation. And there's an opportunity, if you and a friend want to register, you can do that. If you and a spouse want to register and have one room, you can do that. Or you can pick your own room, or you can pick no room at all. If you want to stay somewhere else or you live locally, you don't have to choose the hotel as an additional item when you check out. But anyway, this just gives you an idea of what the rooms look like. They have a mini fridge, coffee maker, hair dryer, all the normal amenities that you're going to have.
And Lisa, I think it's worth mentioning the Gold Canyon Resort is only 5 miles from the ranch.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's very close. It's amazing. I think you agree with me on this, Mason, how you go to the ranch and it feels so completely different than 10 or 15 minutes away where, it's modern life and city and all of the things. But this ranch is just very unique and nestled in these mountains, yet it's an easy drive to get back to the real world.
Yes, even that whole area. Once you hit Apache Junction, it's like you're out of Phoenix. The stress is lifted off you. There's no traffic. The world just moves a little bit slower out there.
Yes. And it is, like you said, Mason, it's a really close drive to the ranch. You don't have to drive back and forth from Phoenix. The
No, it's exactly 5.3 miles.
Yeah, really close, very close. And there's also a grocery store there and gas station and some other little stores and things nearby. So, if you need to get something specific, there's a drugstore there. There's things right near the resort that you can access. All right. So let's talk about what you're going to need to bring. So a lot of people wonder what kind of equipment and cameras and clothes and all of that. We provide a very detailed, comprehensive welcome packet for you via email when you register. That'll have everything from where and when to fly in, where to go, what's there, what's not there, what do you need to bring, what do you need to think about, some pre-workshop activities for you, some free tutorials on manual settings if you want those. Like that packet, when you get emailed from us, the second you register, you'll get an email and you can download that packet. It has everything from soup to nuts in there. But I'm going to cover the highlights because a lot of people wonder, and we get a lot of emails about this before the registration. So let's just tackle it quickly. Packing list for your camera. Well, and these are suggestions. Obviously, you can bring different things, but we suggest a body. And if you can bring a backup body, that's wonderful. It helps you from having to switch lenses, and instead you just pick up a different camera body. Or if you're having problems with one camera body, you have a backup to go. And of course, your cell phone can also be part of the equipment. A lot of people take images with cell phone as well, and video, and slow-mo video, which can be really fun. So I would recommend a 24 to 70 or similar, a 70 to 200 or something that covers this range. Like if you have a 28 to 300, perfect. Those two things can be combined together. And then a zoom lens that can reach about 400 millimeters up to about 600 millimeters. You don't need anything wider than that, but I would say 4 to 500 is a really nice sweet spot. If you have 600, bonus. Um, and I say zoom or prime lens. Personally, I think the zooms give you a lot more latitude because you're going to have horses running at you or side to side, or you want to go and want to compose things in different ways. I personally prefer Zooms over Primes at this workshop, but you do you. You are welcome to bring whatever you want, but those would be what I would suggest. Also, your cars are going to be right in the middle, right at the hub of where all the action is. So you can switch things out at any time. I also recommend bringing a little camera pack or backpack because sometimes we'll be on one end of the ranch or the other, and you might want to grab a couple of lenses and take them with you. But do that. And we also will provide transportation. So if you're having, you got knees that are just not able of hiking longer distances, or, and I say longer, we're talking like, I don't know, what, Mason, maybe 500 feet, 1,000 feet from one end of the ranch to the other. I'm ballparking. It's not a ton, but if you're struggling with that, we do have transportation that we provide for people that need it, and we'll run you back and forth from one location to the next. So possibly, and I say widest lens for night photography, though we don't offer night photography, you are in a pretty good spot for night photography. So if you wanted to go out on your own in the evening somewhere and do night photography, I would bring that lens. You're in a spot that's conducive to do it. I would bring lens hoods for each lens. That helps with lens flare. And then a tripod or monopod. Certainly optional, but it can be helpful in certain low light portrait opportunities. I would consider bringing those. Ample memory cards and charged batteries, especially if you're not going to download over the weekend to a computer or what have you. Ample memory cards. We do a lot of action, and you're going to be firing off a lot of images in short succession. I don't know how many images people take. I ask them, and it ranges from, I've seen some people take 20,000 in a day. I've seen some people take 5,000 in a day, but you are going to capture a lot of images. So just bring plenty of memory and memory cards and charged batteries. There is not a great way to charge batteries at the ranch because we are off the grid at the ranch. We do provide a power source, one of those power banks that in a 911 situation, you could charge your battery, but it's going to take a while, right? So definitely bring enough batteries to get you through the day. I would say probably 4 batteries would be good to get you through the day if you're shooting a lot. And that, of course, varies depending on the gear you have and how battery hungry your gear is, and what kind of settings you're using and so forth. Bring your camera's manual just so we can look something up if we can't find it online and you're struggling with something with your camera. We do have a lot of different users of cameras and among my team. Some shoot Sony, some shoot Canon, Nikon, and so forth. But we want to help you as best we can. And sometimes Google is our best friend, or your camera's manual. Definitely bring lens cleaning tools like a rocket blower, wipes, or cloths. We're out in the dust at the ranch, and that's something that you're just going to want to, clean your lenses from time to time to do that. A polarizer is optional, but helps with skies and harsh light and glare for some of the portraits or landscape work that you have. And then, of course, optional, but many people choose to bring a laptop computer with your charger and plenty of storage or an external hard drive to back up those images each night. That's up to you. Some people just keep the cards until they go home. But, if you need to reuse those cards, it's nice to have a backup option. There is not going to be time to return to the hotel during lunch to back up your images. Unlike some workshops where you go back for a few hours, we're using your time and the time and the money that you've spent to come out here, we are filling it full of photo ops. Yes, you'll have a little break. And of course, if you have to go back to your hotel, you can, but you might miss out on some of the events. So don't plan on that as an option. And again, there's no electricity at the ranch if you're going to plug in your laptop and try to do it there. Your laptop would have to have enough battery to be able to do it on its own. All right. And again, if you have questions, please put them into the Q&A section. And Mason, are there
Yeah,
any questions coming
we
through?
do. We have a bunch of them now if you want to take a
Yeah.
minute and answer some of them.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. If I ask any that you know you're going to answer here in a minute, just tell me to hold on. Julianne asked what the activity level is.
Good question. I have a slide coming up on that, so I'll address that in a few
Okay.
minutes.
All right. What is the total number of participants? Arlene asked.
Yes, good question, Arlene. This is going to sound unusual for me, but it's designed with intention. We have 20 participants, but I have about 10 staff that come and support you. So we still have a high instructor to staff or instructor to participant ratio. And much of the time, it's going to feel like a small group workshop because we break people out into multiple groups doing different things and we rotate through those different stations. There are some things that are for the large group, like the cattle drive, and we have that organized quite well where, you're not going to feel like you're overwhelmed by the people. But we're renting out a whole ranch and we have a whole bunch of staff and horses to feed and pay for and so forth. So economically, unless you wanted to come to a six-person, $12,000 workshop, we have to add more people to keep this price a little bit better. However, we do still design it like a small group workshop in many ways. So you get kind of the best of both worlds in that case.
All right. Izella asked, just starting out with photography, so I'm a newbie all the way around. Are all levels welcome?
Absolutely. And that's a great question. And welcome to photography. I love working with folks that are newbies because you have so much that you can do and you're fired up about it. And there's so many people in this world that will help you, including us. But yes, and I even say people with cell phones have gotten some pretty amazing shots at this workshop. There are going to be some things that we can do ahead of this workshop that I will send in your packet if you register. Think of it like assignments or homework. It's not hard, but things that you can work through in your camera before you arrive. And then once you do arrive, if you come a little early, we have a camera clinic that we do in the early afternoon at this workshop. The workshop kicks off with a soft launch at 2 o'clock on Thursday. And that is so that we can do a scavenger hunt. And we also do a camera clinic where we can help you understand your camera better and make sure everybody kind of has the basic knowledge of settings and things underway. The more you can learn about manual settings, the better to help you. But we offer two free classes, a part one and part two on manual settings as well to help you get started. And then from there, each session that we do kind of has its own unique suggested settings, and we'll be giving those as well.
All right, very good. Maureen asks, do we do the same photo shoots in Montana that are done in Arizona?
Oh, good question. And no, these are designed to be completely different workshops. Although we have a couple of the same people, just due to circumstances, we are lucky to have Duncan and a couple of his team come to this one. But no, first of all, entirely different backdrops, entirely different outcomes from our shots. And in Montana, we're doing some night photography, we're doing horses in the dark, we're doing some different types of action in the field. We have some cinematic types of things we're doing, covered wagons, a whole bunch of very different things. You could go to Magic of Cowboys in Arizona and go to Magic of Cowboys in Montana, and it's going to be like a big Venn diagram with a little bit of overlap, but largely very different.
Absolutely. Sue's asking, what is the cost of the workshop?
Ah, Sue, I have that coming up in just a second, so I'll put that, I have a slide with that for you.
All right, Sue had a two-parter. Do we have model releases for the images so we can display and sell them in galleries if possible?
Good question. So yes, I provide model releases. I will say this with an asterisk. I have a pretty comprehensive, but it's a generic one. I had in one case a couple years ago, somebody that said that model release wouldn't work for them. And so if you have something like galleries might require something very specific. If you have something like that, I highly encourage you to bring that along and get that signed on your own. If, ours are kind of generic. They're comprehensive, but they're generic. If you need, and I'll say this as well, if you need a certain type of property release or anything else, bring that, but we do provide them. And what I do is I upload them and provide a link for everybody to download them for each model, including a picture of that model so that you can cross-reference with your photos after the workshop.
And I think it's worth mentioning if you're looking to sell images on stock photo websites, they have model releases you can download. So just download them and bring them with you, and we'll get the models to sign them for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Noel, will we have model releases? Same question.
Yes.
Okay. Lisa asked, "Do you have a block of rooms reserved at Gold Canyon? Their website shows no availability." Yes, we do.
You do. For that
Uh,
reason, we want to make sure you have rooms. It's a very popular time of year to be in Arizona.
yes, that's the busiest time of year. I worked at some resorts when I was much younger, and February is the time to be here. That is for sure. Jan asked about what about dinners?
Yes. So dinners are on your own, and I provide a list of restaurant options. Of course, you may find something different, but I provide a suggested list of options in your packet that you'll get when you are emailed your confirmation. You'll get a little welcome message, and there'll be a link that you can click on to download that packet. So dinners are on our own. And here's if you've maybe considered attending in the past, we switched it up a bit. I think it was last year or the year before that we started this. It tends to get cold at the ranch at night. Yes, we're in Arizona in February, which is gorgeous, but at night at the ranch on a clear sky, it tends to get cold and people tend to be tired. And so we used to provide a campfire and dinner and entertainment and all that. And it kind of just, it was great for some people, and others were just like, I just want to eat so I can go home and crawl into bed. I'm tired. And I respect that. So we now do a really nice lunch and a breakfast, and dinners are on your own. And there's a list of restaurants, everything from some fast food to nicer restaurants. Some people just want to eat leftovers in their room or grab something quick to go. And so we thought that might be a better way for people to manage their time and energy in the evening.
And we also tried some night photography, and we're right outside what the fifth or fourth largest city in the country, and there's just too much light. So you can't really do Milky Way or any kind of star shots anyway. I saw somebody mention the moon, but the city lights are the killer for night photography. So we don't do anything after dark.
Yeah, we don't personally, but if you want to go out and do some of that, there are some areas that are nice. We can kind of point you in some directions to go, but it's just something that, and also we're really tired after the end of the day, and we just don't have the energy to do a 20-hour workshop each
Yeah,
day.
we go pretty hard during the day.
We do.
All right, the next question. I'm planning on coming with a friend. Is there a situation where one of us gets in and the other doesn't?
So when you register, you can choose one person or two, or however many you want to register in your party. It's a great question. So when you register, pick the drop down. I need, and if it's you and a friend that want to share the room, you could do that too, or maybe you want separate rooms, whatever. But you can register for both friends. And then there is, and Mason, do you want to talk about the payment afterwards if two different people register and how the payment goes for that?
Yeah, so if you do that, if you sign up for two people, if you're a couple or two friends, there is an option for contributions. So you would make that payment, and then your friend just adds a contribution at the time of any payments that are due. So you're both making your half of the payment. So it's a really simple process and it works really well. We haven't had any issues with that for sure.
Yes. And then there's a waiver to sign, and you, as the registrant, will sign it. And then the other people that are on your same registration will get an email link to sign their own. So you don't have to sign on behalf of other people. And for those who have registered for our workshops in the past, and you're like, oh, there's this long list of things. The good news, and this should help. The good news is that the registration system we use, We Travel, is now allowing us to basically say, here's the priority items that we need for people to get in, right? Name, address, phone number, those kinds of things. And then we can say, hey, I need these people to fill out these questions, but I don't need the rest of them answered right away. And so you can log back in at another date and time and fill out the rest of this stuff. That should help. I know people have been like, it's hard to get on your workshop. It's like buying Taylor Swift tickets. That's what someone said to me last week. If only I was Taylor Swift. But that should shorten that registration time so you don't need as much information in there to register. So to that point, let's say you register for two people and you get done with the registration, and you might get some weird message that says, I can't remember. There's an odd message in there. I'm sorry, I can't control the messaging. What that means is you got through to the end, but somebody booked their ticket and paid for it. You were both typing at the same time. Somebody else booked their ticket before you got done with the registration system. That does happen on rare occasion, and I apologize, but that would be like the last two people trying to register. So if you are registering for this workshop, you probably know the drill by now, but for those that are new, welcome and know that these are hot tickets. You'll want to get your seats like the second that we open and go in and register and get your seats done. They sell out really quickly. That's just kind of the way it is. But we try to make this a very fair process for people by sending out emails, doing these webinars, letting you know the exact date and time that the tickets will go on sale. And then it's on you. I've had people ask me, should I, why can't you do it via lottery or some other way? Or, it's just, we do it with our email list, right? You joined the click. That's one of the benefits of joining the click is we tell you before we tell the whole public. And usually it sells out without us telling the public. So that's the best that we can do to make it fair for everybody. Some people said, hey, well, I've registered for 3 of your workshops. I should get priority. I would love to be able to help. I want everybody on them, right? I never want to say no to anybody, but the most fair way, whether you've done 100 of them or just registering for your first one, is to just open it up at the same time and let the cards fall where they may, because I love all of you and I appreciate all of you. And there's just not a better way at this point for us to handle it than that.
And if you're registering for yourself or you and a friend, we've cut it down to now it's really just your contact information, your
Yeah,
address and your phone number, nothing crazy. So
yeah,
as long as you have your friend's phone number and address, you'll be able to register both of you.
yes. And have
All
your
right.
credit card handy.
Arlene asks, do cell phones work at the ranch?
Yes, they do. You might have a carrier that doesn't, but in my experience, T-Mobile, Verizon, I don't know. Those are the two that I know pretty regularly that are out there that work. We have no problem.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say their phone didn't work out there. I think the city has grown in that direction so far that no issues with cell service.
Yes.
All right. Kathy asks, any time for critiques throughout the workshop?
Good question. So we typically will do in-camera critiques. So, show us the back of your camera. If you're having a problem, we'll address that. Our staff try to go around and check on cameras, but do not hesitate to grab one of us and say, hey, could you take a look at a few of these? Do these look good? We do not have the ability to do like a sit-down session with a show and share. But what we do offer, two things is one, when you register, you will be sent a date for a private pre-workshop for the workshop, a pre-webinar just for participants. And then we also will be doing a post-workshop show and share, and I'll give some editing tips as well. That'll be at a webinar at a future date for those who registered, and it's usually like 30 days or so after the webinar, giving you time to process some of your image, and then we go through them. But we just don't, unfortunately, have the facilities to do something like that. We have so much action packed in. The best bet for you is to ask one of us, hey, can you take a look at the back of our camera? I would love to get your feedback on this image. And we are so happy to do that.
All right. This you kind of touched on Otto's question. Is there Wi-Fi available on the ranch?
There is a data service, and what carrier you have, and even sometimes what phone you have, will make it variable. But gosh, Mason, I think when we were there just a couple nights ago doing some planning, I had at least a couple bars of
Oh
GTE.
yeah, the phone is no problem, and Arlene was asking about that too. Phone calls are fine. Everything's fine. There's no Wi-Fi to hook into, but you'll get a phone signal out there, and you can
Yeah,
use your phone, and you could turn your phone into a hotspot if that's what you wanted to do to
yeah.
get something accomplished. But then when the lodge is only 5 miles away, and they do have Wi-Fi there, so you're not far from it. Just at the ranch itself, there is not any Wi-Fi.
You're going to be so busy taking pictures, you won't even realize that you don't have any.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are there more questions, Mason?
There are a few more. Do you want to answer them now, or do you want to work through what you
Yeah,
have?
let me go through this and then we'll give people a chance to conjure up a few more questions and then we'll go from there because I know I'm going to answer some of the questions that were asked a few minutes ago here. Just a quick thing on clothing. Feel free and kind of take this as a general gist. We'll send you very specifics. But generally speaking, I suggest layers. It can be cool in the morning and in the evening. During the day, it gets warmer. I find often I'm in like a t-shirt during the day, but the weather varies. Um, and I just realized the average high is probably more like 70, not 60. This is a typo of mine, but the weather is really nice and it's variable in Phoenix at that time of year, but it's generally dry and calm and sunny. But it's also there's a lot of things going on with the climate. I've had rain when I didn't expect it. We've had cooler or warmer temperatures than what I have expected in the past. So bring layers with a rain guard for, your outer layer. I highly doubt you'll need it, but I say that, and every once in a while we get a little bit of rain, and rain can make some really cool photographs. I mean, we're not going to stand in pouring rain, but if it's drizzling or misty, that can be beautiful. We have cowboys with those beautiful yellow slickers, and there's just some cool shots to be had. So bring a rain cover for your camera as well. And odds are we won't need it, but do dress in layers. Some people are more sensitive to the cold, so maybe bring, hat or gloves. And I say this, you usually are going to need it only for about the first hour of the morning when we're out shooting silhouettes as blue hour and the sun rises. And then it quickly warms up. You don't have to feel like you're going to a winter location, but if you are sensitive, like I don't typically do that, but if you are sensitive to the cold, um, do bring something like that. And then sun protection, I would say, is a bigger issue. Bring a hat, something you're going to be most likely in the sun over the weekend because it's Arizona. We, have like 320 sunny days a year. February is a good time for them. Bring a wide brimmed hat or sunglasses, sunscreen, those kinds of things, and comfortable footwear. Sturdy, waterproof hiking boots or shoes are really suitable here. You have generally where we walk, there's not a lot of cactus spines, but there are some fields that have some cactus. You don't want to be walking around in canvas shoes where those spines might get into your shoes. You want to wear nice leather shoes that are sturdy. We're going to be walking on some uneven terrain, not horrible, but some little rocks and things in the field. And I just want you to be well suited for that so you don't have a problem. Rain gear I talked about a little bit, but a rain jacket and a camera cover is always nice. And then for evening, even if you went to a nice restaurant, most places in Arizona are still casual, especially in Gold Canyon. You don't need anything dressy. Don't forget socks, underwear, swimsuit if you want to take a dip in the pool. Hand warmers, I don't think you're going to need, but every time I say that, I have someone that's like, you know what, I have Raynaud's syndrome, or I have something where my hands just don't work well in the cold. You take care of you, and we will do our best to take care of you further once you arrive at the ranch.
Arizona mornings can be chilly.
They can, they really can. It's dry, so you have, and it's not, there's no clouds, so you have nothing to trap in the warmth from overnight. All right, what to expect for instruction. I've alluded to this before. We'll have some large group activities. We'll have lots of small group activities at different stations and locations throughout the ranch so that you can get intimate with some of these pictures that we're going to be taking. And the different stations will change up throughout the entire workshop. The instruction, typically what we do is we'll come together in a big group under the headquarters tent, and I'll say, all right, now the next thing we're going to do is X. And so and so and so and so, you're going to go to these different stations. And then you go to those stations. I'll give some general instruction. And then the instructor at that specific station will tell you further what to do. We also have wonderful whiteboards stationed everywhere that also have listed what settings, what lens, that kind of thing. And there's starting settings, right? You're going to be able to change up different things in many cases, but they're starting settings to give you an idea. That way you don't have to ask the instructor 49 times, what's the settings? They will typically call it out as well, but we want everybody to feel prepared and ready to go and not confused. And we're going to give you support throughout all of it so that you come away with great shots. And we've seen, I wish I could display all of the shots that I've seen from different people here. Participants in the past I have a link where they can upload any of the photos they wish to share with the Cowboys and Cowgirls. And then I send the Cowboys and Cowgirls that link so that they have those pictures. So I still only see a fraction of what everybody takes, but of those pictures that they've shared with the Cowboys and Cowgirls, they're just tremendous. You're going to have a great time here, and we definitely give you a lot of support. That's why I have so many staff. It is a well-oiled machine, but there's always surprises, and we know people need support, and we deliver that support. I don't know of too many other workshops that have almost a 1 to 2 uh, instructor or support person to participant ratio. So I always say needing help is not a weakness. It's called a workshop, and that's why you're here, is to learn and also to grow and capture some beautiful images. We're good at helping, but not mind reading though. So ask for help. We're here to help you, and we want to try to understand what your needs are so that we can push you forward as best we can. We want to move the needle while you're here, not just give you pretty pictures to take. Our goal is always a very fair and positive learning and image making experience for everyone. Those of you who've been on my workshops before know I have a rule, and I call it no crap, no COVID, religion, and politics. We never talk about it at the workshop. And I know COVID is kind of in air quotes, but it can sometimes be controversial. We just stay away from those things so that everybody can focus on the photography. We can, for 4 days, put all that stuff aside and really focus on what's important at this workshop, which your experience, and your photographs. And that's what we do. And mutual respect for everybody, from our instructors to you back to the instructors, you among each other, timeliness, transitioning, those kinds of things. We really try to keep it organized so that everybody feels like it's well managed and they feel well cared for and respected. That's super important to me. So physical abilities, I know there was a question about this. So we have a scale from 1 to 5, and we rate this as about a 2 to 3. There's a good deal of walking and standing involved at the ranch. It's pretty level for the most part. It's not like we're hiking way up hills or anything. Sometimes there's a slight incline or decline. But there's a good deal of walking and standing, right? Once you get somewhere, you're going to be standing for a while, taking the photos or listening to instruction or whatever it might be. It's on flat terrain. There are sometimes a little bit of uneven ground, like an ungraded arena or pasture land that has rocks and clumps and things like that. But you're not climbing over big boulders. You're not climbing and hiking up hills, none of that. We do provide chairs at our headquarters, which is a big 20-foot by 20-foot tent where we have seating for everybody. When you're out in the field, we do have a number of folding stools that you can use if you just need a rest, or feel free and bring your own stool if you're more comfortable with something. But by and large, it's still a standing type of workshop. So if you do need to take breaks more often, you can always head back to headquarters. We have those little stools, or you could even go sit in our transportation, and we'll take you back and forth as we go along with each session. We typically can't do it during the session, but if you need during the breaks, like, okay, we're done with station A and now you need to go to station B, we do have some transportation. A lot of people choose to walk. It's not that far. But for those with bad knees or, some other issue going on, we can provide the transportation. Um, so just a little bit on what's included. I've alluded to this before, but breakfast and lunches are included. Breakfast is on Friday morning, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. And then we have lunches that are on Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon. We also have on Thursday night a wonderful dinner. We have a food truck that comes in, and you don't have to walk up to the food truck and order. It's all done for you. This amazing Mexican food that is, I can't tell you how phenomenal it is. It is so good. I tried this company last year and I was absolutely beyond delighted. Just fabulous, fabulous food. And so that'll be on Thursday evening. We'll do a meet and greet, we'll do some orientation and have a lovely dinner together. And then you're free to go back to your cabins. that is the dinner is the conclusion for the afternoon. So at 2 o'clock, we soft start. If you can't get in there at 2 o'clock on Thursday, it's okay. But we do have the camera clinic and we have the scavenger hunt. The scavenger hunt has a little prize to go with it. And the camera clinic is there for your learning. And we kind of work through a lot of different things. We have multiple instructors at that, and everybody sits down together and we work through camera things. And then there's also an optional horseback ride that is led with one of our photography guides and the horseback ride guide. And all the photography is done on horseback, but we stop at different locations to capture scenes that look good from horseback and give you time to take photos as well. You can bring one lens on that trip, but it is a really nice ride through some incredible desert scenery, and that's also on Thursday. So all those things are optional. If you're flying in and you can't get in until, let's say, 5 o'clock, it's okay, but we have activities for those who would like to come in early and do so. We have the pre-workshop webinar on December 3rd, 2025. That'll be for workshop participants only. The instruction is all included. The pre-workshop tutorials will be included in your registration packet when you sign up. And then a post-workshop webinar as well, where we show and share and I teach some editing as well. What's not included? Transportation. That is anything from your home all the way to the ranch. So unfortunately, the hotel does not offer shuttles. We don't have a van big enough to bring, 20 people along. So you can have a shuttle or excuse me, you can rent a car, or there are Ubers, but probably most likely renting a car is the best option. And then you can go anywhere you want for dinner. I will be in your registration asking you if you want me to share your contact information with other people at the workshop. And what I'll do then is look at all the people that said, yes, please share. And I will send an email to anyone who said, yes, please share. And I'll provide everybody who agreed to share the contact information, the name, the email address, and the phone number of the people. It is up to you independently if you want to, do carpooling or share a room or whatever. Well, the room has to be decided ahead of time. So mostly for carpooling or maybe dinner plans. But I cannot arrange carpooling because of insurance and liability reasons. So that's 100% on you. But if you wanted to do that, then definitely check that you want me to share your information. I will provide those who do with an email with all of that information, and then you guys can do with it what you will after you've registered. And I'll wait a little while to make sure I got everybody's information before I send that along. The 2-hour horseback ride is an optional thing. You will organize that directly through the ranch. That is not something you need to register with me. That is directly through the ranch, but we provide you that information, and then you can contact the ranch to set that up. And then our meals, we can accommodate a variety of different dietary restrictions, but it is harder in a family style meal with, by the time we get with staff and participants and so forth, we're looking at about 45 people at the event. It is very hard to, do one that's vegan and do one that's gluten-free and one that's this and that. We can accommodate to some extent, but we're not in a capacity to provide separate meals. So you can choose to have some or all of what is provided, right? We usually do with salads and sides and the main course. And of course, the tacos and things that you'll do, you can add anything to them that you want. But if you have a high sensitivity to something or really have a very specific diet, we're probably going to reach out to you and try to learn more about it and or suggest that maybe you pick up something from the local grocery store or accommodate your meals in their own way. Just because we are not a restaurant, I can't do, a bunch of different meals for a bunch of different people. Our caterers only have so much bandwidth to be able to do that. And sometimes that can get challenging. We have a field for it, and you can enter that in. You don't have to do it when you register. You can do it later on. But then once we know that information, we can reach out if we think there might be some issues or if you need to supplement something. Gratuities, those are not included. It is optional. I know I'm very sensitive to this tipping culture that's really gotten out of hand, right? So it is always optional. I pay my staff and these Cowboys a very agreeable, fair, wonderful fee to be able to do this. But if you would like to contribute more, you are certainly welcome to do so. It is common for people to do so, but I would never say it's mandatory. Um, the staff, the Cowboys and the Cowgirls are always humble and grateful for any of those tips. And participants who do tip, I mean, it varies widely. And I don't always see what people put in the tip jar, but if they handed it to me specifically and didn't make it to the tip jar, I typically see people donate from, 50 to 200 bucks or so. That's the range. I've seen more, I've seen less, I've seen none at all. That is up to you. But those tips are split among the staff, the Cowboys and the Cowgirls. I don't take any of those tips. Mason doesn't take any of those tips. They are all directed towards the ranch staff. Unless someone specifically hands me money and says, this is your specific tip, then I'll, keep that for myself. But other than that, I always make sure that they are divvied up among the staff. And we'll have a tip jar for you. So the dates, this was a question, dates and prices, and then we'll go back to more questions. So Thursday, February 5th at 2026 starts at 3 p.m. Arizona, 6 p.m. Eastern. I think I said 2, but I meant 3 o'clock. Sunday, February 8th ends at 3 p.m. Arizona, 6 p.m. Eastern. This will be in Gold Canyon, Arizona. Very easy to drive to. You don't need a high clearance vehicle or any of that. It's a dirt road, but it's a very commonly used dirt road. And you're only on it for maybe 2 miles. Gold Canyon Golf Resort will be where the lodging is at. If you would like a hotel room with your trip, it's $39.95. If you want to share with someone, it would be $35.95 per person for a room. That's based on double occupancy. And you could put a request in if you wanted a king or two queens, but we can accommodate those. And it's $31.95 without the hotel. So if you're staying locally or what have you, you can do that. Sometimes people have asked me, can I bring my RV and park nearby? Sometimes, but it would be dry camping and there are not a lot of options. There's an RV park not horribly far away, but I don't know what kind of availability there is for that. There is a grocery store nearby that you might be able to overnight camp in. I'm not sure, but there's very limited types of camping at the event, and primarily because we take over that property at the ranch, and there's not a lot of space for much else. So I would plan on finding another campsite somewhere or staying in a hotel if you don't live locally. All right. So again, when the tickets go on sale is going to be Sunday, September 21st, 2025. So that's in, gosh, just a week or so. Sunday, September 21st at 7 Eastern, 6 Mountain, or excuse me, 6 Central, 5 Mountain Time, 4 Pacific Time, which is also Arizona time this time of year, 3 Alaska time if I have any Alaskans here. But you're going to want to check your email. We're going to be sending you an email about that. Or you can head over to Langell Photography and go to the Magic of Cowboys workshop. And that is going to be the way you're going to register. So Mason, questions or comments, anything you want to
Yeah,
add to that?
just looking at this, if you can real quick pull up your browser, we could show them on the website.
Yes, I
There's a
can.
ton of information on the website about the workshop as well that you guys can look at now.
Yes. So I'm going to go to Langell Photography. I'll show you how to navigate. You're going to go to workshops and tours.
And
And
then
then,
next Sunday, you will be able to register from this page as well. So
yes.
you can register from any of the pages. You'll be able to get to it.
All right. So
We'll be adding a lot of buttons as we get closer.
we will. So just to recap, I went to Langell Photography, right? LangellPhotography.com. I clicked on workshops and tours. That brought me to this page. And this shows the countdown for registration. I'm going to visit the Magic of Cowboys page. This is the Gold Canyon one. The Montana one is further down, so don't worry about that one. This is the Gold Canyon one. Magic of Cowboys, visit the page. This has a lot of information about it. We have a few videos from past workshops, so you can get a sense of that. The registration is listed here as far as how the countdown timer. And so, Mason, anything else you want to comment
Keep
there?
going a little bit further.
All right.
Here, this blue button will also take you to the registration page.
All
So
right. So
you can see the itineraries and everything on this page.
yes. So here's details about the workshop. And if you scroll down further, lots further, you can see the pricing and what options you have, for shared room, double occupancy. For example, I have female shared. That means I want to come alone and I want to stay with some random female that's coming at this workshop. Sign me up for that. Keep in mind, if for some reason we can't match you with another person that's willing to share a room, then I will have to email you and we'll say, hey, we have to give you a private room. There's no one, there's not enough people that want to do the shared room to give you a roommate. And then you'd have to register at the regular rate. But if we can find a roommate for you, if somebody else registers that's a single, same gender, then we will go ahead and do that. And I have for female, male, and then single registrant.
And
And
then on Sunday, all those buttons will become active that say not available. They will all
yes.
be active Sunday at 7 Eastern.
So you'll click, if you click the drop down, you can choose what you want, and then you can click book now. If you click book now, right now, it doesn't allow you to book. You'll just see the packages, or you could ask a question. But then on Sunday, that will be all available. You can also download a brochure, which basically summarizes everything that we have on the website.
And this is a good place to ask questions. Anything will come right to us.
Yes. So here is the itinerary. So someone asked about that. You can click on each day here and read about the itinerary. Of course, all of this can be subject to change based on weather and whatnot, but you get a sense of the itinerary. The day one welcome dinner, day two in the morning, and you can go on and on throughout the entire trip. All right. Question,
All right. Are you
Jason?
ready for questions? All right. Sue's is not a question. She was just saying the moon will be 87 to 61% during the workshop. So there might be a chance for some cool shots after dark, but that would be bad for Milky Way too. The
Yes.
thing is, we wear you out during the day, so not a lot of people want to stay after dark. It's it's very long days.
They're good days, and we do
They
give
are
you
very
breaks,
good
but
days, but they are
yeah.
packed full.
Yeah.
They are full days. All right, Ken asks, what time do we knock off every afternoon, evening? I assume dinner is on our own. So
Yes,
I'm sure a lot of these you've already answered, but we'll go through them anyway.
yeah, yes, dinners are on your own. That also helps us accommodate for different dietary needs. You can pick the place that you want with the meals that you want. You can also go back to your room and rest if you need to, or order, Uber Eats or whatever. But as far as what time are we done, typically it is a blue hour or right about there at the end of each day. So we shoot through sunset. We stay a little longer sometimes to capture some of that blue hour. You, of course, can leave anytime you want to. But that's typically when we would wrap up, is right as soon as kind of blue hours done each day.
Hey, Kim asks, if my husband wanted to come but is not a photographer, would he be allowed to attend at a lesser fee?
Oh, good question. So we do have a lunch option that they can register for if they'd like to come in and join for lunch. But I don't, because we have so many people at the workshop as it is, and staff, and cowboys, and cattle, and it's a working ranch. I tend to not have extra guests hanging around. I've also had issues where some guests, we tried this before, and some participants felt like those extra attendees that weren't really attending, they were just lurking, kind of got in the way of things. And I tend to feel similarly. So as much as I don't want to say no, it is going to make the experience better for everybody if they don't attend. They're welcome to come to lunch, and there is a place where you can add on a meal for that. But it just doesn't seem to work very well beyond that. That said, there is a ton of stuff in the region that you can do. So if they wanted to drop you off in the morning, or you wanted to ride with someone from the hotel to the ranch, they can take their car. There's museums, there's shopping, there's hiking, there's trails, there's the arboretums, there are mining towns. There is a ton of cool stuff in the region that they could go do and explore, and then either come and get you at the end of the day, or you could ride back with someone else.
And I think just to be clear, that the answer is no, there isn't a spouse rate.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just don't, we, like Lisa said, we just don't allow outside people to come in because it just takes away from
Yeah.
the space of the photographers.
Yes. That said, you have if you select the, and I'll show you here, the single occupancy workshop, you're buying that whole hotel room. So they can come, they can stay at the hotel. They can come in. There's an add-on for lunch. I have an option if you want to have someone come in and join you for lunch. They can see the ranch and have the food and enjoy that with you. That's great. We just can't accommodate people outside of that. You'll understand better when you get there and see what we're all doing. But they are certainly welcome to go and explore the region.
Okay. Kathy asked, do you keep a wait list for the workshop?
Yes.
So
So
once it's sold out, the when you go click the book now button, it will change to join waitlist. So if you see join waitlist, that means it is sold out. And please join because we have people cancel for various reasons every year, and the people on the wait list get to take advantage of that.
yeah, we do. And to that point, I strongly suggest trip insurance for your experience because it not only covers you if you can't attend because you got sick or whatnot, but it also covers you in the case, you got injured or something or had to leave the trip early because you needed to get back home for an emergency. I always recommend trip insurance, and you can either purchase it through We Travel. I am not affiliated with trip insurance. I don't get any perks or anything for it. Some people do. I don't go down that road. But and you can also, like, I know one of my clients had the Chase Sapphire card, and that includes trip insurance if you book your trip on the Chase Sapphire card. At least their Chase Sapphire plan gave them trip insurance, and she used it for one of our workshops when she fell ill. But if you didn't, and if you can't, what we do is we try to resell your seat. We will send you a cancellation form, and you fill out that form and sign it, and you can tell us, yes, I have trip insurance. I don't need you to resell my seat. And then we'll help you with any paperwork that you need, or no, please resell my seat. And sometimes we have to offer it at a discount, although many times we don't need to. But if it's really close to the workshop start point, you get within a month of the workshop, sometimes people, it's a harder sell. And people already make plans, and or they can't find airfare, or airfare is exorbitant or whatever. But we will try to resell your seat, and whatever we can sell it for, minus a little fee because we have to pay credit card fees and stuff twice, we will refund your money. But I can't guarantee that as an option. A lot of times I can sell that, but it really depends on how far out it is and what people's availability are. So trip insurance is always a good safe bet, but we try to make you whole if we can, but I can't do refunds. Um, once you've registered, I'm unable to do that because I have to pay all the vendors and all the people and the caterers and the Cowboys and all that stuff. Those funds are allocated well in advance, and I can't get refunds for that either. So just be aware of that going in. We really do try to make it as fair as we can, but I also can't be upside down and paying for people's trips that they don't attend. So I'm sure if you've done workshops before, you know the drill, but I just wanted to clarify that.
All right. Sue's next question, snake guards or snake boots?
It's February in Arizona. Certainly you can. I wouldn't necessarily require it. Most of the time we're on paved ground, or if we're
Okay.
in an area, it's so populated with people, I wouldn't expect to see a snake where we're going. It is wildlife. The possibilities are there. I've never, ever, knock on wood, ever seen a snake doing this since I started doing it in 2017. And to be honest, in all my years in Arizona, I've only seen, I think, two or three wild rattlesnakes, and I've lived here 20 years. So, the odds are low. If you want to bring them, feel free, but we're not traipsing way out into the desert to do this stuff.
Yeah, and Lisa said it. I've never seen a snake out there, which is you don't see them that much in the winter. They're
Yeah.
they're out in the summer when it's 110.
Yeah. Come in March or
Margie
April.
mentioned, oh, I guess we had Montana on one of your slides. I didn't even
Oh,
notice it either.
I didn't either. We kind of been mixing and matching some things between the two, even though they're very different workshops. So I apologize. You are listening to the Gold Canyon, Arizona Magic of Cowboys webinar.
All right. The next question was, are there bathrooms in the field?
Yes, great question. Thank you for asking that. There are outhouses throughout, what do you want to call them? Porta potties everywhere. And they're
Yes.
cleaned right before we get there. And they're maintained. So, and then we also provide, because there's no running water or electricity at the ranch, it truly is like an old school ranch. But we provide hand sanitizer, hand wipes, a water station, all that kind of stuff so that you can handle your own hygiene. And those porta potties are not like some of the icky ones that you've seen. They clean them right before we get there.
All right. You touched on this too. Would there be any help with editing pics during the workshop?
Yeah, we don't unfortunately have the time or resources to be able to do that during the workshop. There's too many photographs to be taken, but I do provide editing tips after the workshop via a separate webinar.
Right. Julianne asked a question. We'll have to get back to you on that, Julianne. She was asking, since you saw her, would she be able to physically do this? I think we just need to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, certainly reach out to us, Julianne, and we can find a time that's good for all of us and give you a call or explain what you need via email, and I'll be happy to try to figure out if we can accommodate.
And somebody did say, I'm local. Tell the folks that February is usually all filled up for camping, which is very true.
It is also very true.
Even
Yeah.
a year out, it's probably very difficult to find a camping spot. And they used to have open camping throughout that area, but they blocked it all off. I think they're getting ready to build some more residential areas, unfortunately.
This is one of those scenarios that breaks my heart because this ranch is situated in some of the most beautiful views in all of the Phoenix Valley. And every year we go there, there's more homes, there's more things being built. And I hate to say it, but this may be one of your last opportunities to photograph this ranch and this area the way it is. I just see modernizing coming way too quickly down the road. So this is a precious opportunity. It's such a pretty place, and I can't wait to see you there.
All right, Debbie asks, parking at the ranch, carpooling necessary. You also talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have plenty of parking, so carpooling is not necessarily only if you want to save, a rental car fee or, make it more convenient or something, but no, there's plenty of parking.
Kim Sweat has a great one. Any tips, relaxation apps, meditation, energy drinks in prep for attending the registration button push? That's fantastic, Kim.
I love it. Kim was just at our Magic of Hummingbirds workshop, and she was saying that watching our registration has turned into an entertainment event for her, regardless of whether or not she's registering for a workshop. She's like, I keep refreshing the page, and it's like the numbers go down and down and down, and all of a sudden they're all sold out. So, Kim, I hope to maybe see you at Magic of Cowboys. And gosh, refresher drinks. I don't know. I'm in love with iced tea, so maybe that.
Yeah, and like we said, we've really reduced what's required at registration, so it should be a lot easier, which will cut down on the stress, hopefully.
Yes.
Next question, will there be any little cowboys, kids for portraits?
That remains to be seen. That is somewhat of an opportunity that is hard to plan for. I can try, and little kids, they get sick or they have this and that. So it is something that might be a spontaneous opportunity, but at this point, I can't promise it just because they're kids. But if we can, we certainly will.
And that is it for questions.
All right. I am so excited. You guys make me fired up to do this every year. We've been doing this since 2017, so this is our 8th year of doing Magic of Cowboys, and it seems like it gets more and more magical as time goes on. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. And maybe some of you are also joining us in Montana. And so I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. And I look forward to hopefully seeing 20 of you here at our workshop in February in Arizona. If you have any other questions, feel free and reach out and send us an email. Other than that, I want to
If
just
well,
go.
before you leave this page, if you
Yes,
have any questions, oh, she closed
sorry,
it.
let me go back.
Right there at the bottom of the page, ask a question. If you hit that button, you can send us any questions you have.
This
And
blue one.
we have other places on the website too. They all come to us, but we try and make it as easy as possible.
Definitely. And so just keep in mind one more time, we have our workshop goes on sale Sunday, September 21st, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we'll send you an email. Definitely check your spam if you didn't get it. We do send the email. So if you're not getting it, it's probably something on your ISP or server that is making that challenging. But we do send the emails. If all else fails, go to our website. I showed you how to navigate there and jump on the Magic of Cowboys train. We are ready to have a really good time. I'm so excited about this workshop. It's inexplicable. It's just epic and magical and fun and soul fulfilling and camera filling and all the things. So thanks for being with us tonight. It's good to have you here. And until next time, you guys have a wonderful evening and we'll see you soon. Bye bye, everyone.